let's call that a deal.
Round it, yeah.
And Freddie used to have this gig on the west side of Walton's Corners. Well, Freddie became a star and went out and played Hideaway, you know, on American Bandstand, all these TV shows back then.
Right.
And left his band at Walton's Corners, so Luther took over the band. And some other things. But as the years went on, I met Luther in '68 on the west side of Chicago. It was really cool. We got up and play these gigs. Tavern gigs.
Yes.
And here's Buddy Guy. I didn't meet Magic Sam, he just died. But me and Luther and Buddy Guy cutting heads every night, playing this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was doing what I was doing, Luther was doing what he was doing, and I don't know, somewhere in the early 70s, we finally said, I don't know if it was out of, Luther wanted to take me out of the scene and put me under control, so there wouldn't be competition or whatever it was, but we hooked up and we were together ever since. Even when we weren't together, we were together.
Yeah, shooting sparks all over the place.
It was just one of those things where we didn't have to talk, we just knew what each other was thinking, knew what each other was feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and
connected.
it wasn't just about music, it could have been about fishing, it could have been about driving a car, it could have been about, it was just about life, and we had that kind of connection. And,
how does your philosophy differ from Luther's in the guitar sense?
None whatsoever.
I always wonder about that.
We came up on the west side of Chicago where there was a lot of trios, and I never liked playing trios. I always liked having a Hammond B3 or a piano player. But all these cats on the west side, like Magic Sam, Luther and Otis Rush, you know, we're all doing this trio stuff because that's all you can afford.
Right, sure.
Playing these
People
chintzy.
are expensive.
Damn, right. Ain't that the truth? And so you make as much racket as you can with your guitar to cover all this territory, and out of that comes this kind of urgency. And I think Luther and I had that same urgency of our feeling for the blues.
Yeah, feeling mostly.
You know, and as much as we loved Muddy and Muddy was laid back, but still he was awful damn urgent, you know, and Wolf and stuff. But we kind of had that same feeling about the blues, the way we felt about it, the way we felt it ought to be expressed. Whether we pulled it off or not, we don't know, but we felt that way.
You did a great job with it.
But you have to feel like you pulled it off. Now, how do you feel about your place in blues history?
I don't know. I'm just a guitar player, and I love playing guitar. And songwriting came as an accident because as record companies came and went, what it comes down to is they want the publishing money and they want you to write songs.
But they wrote meaningful songs that meant something. They all had good content in them. So it wasn't just songs that you just throw up there and make them repeat over and over with no meaning.
So you think, like today, a lot of people just
for Luther,
churning it out, or what do you mean?
Let me point out something. Let me interrupt.
Okay.
What was really hard to write for Luther was, and you're going to come back and you're going to agree with me because you know what I'm talking about. Luther didn't dig hooks because that meant he had to repeat something.
Yeah.
He wanted to tell a story.
That's right.
He wanted to tell a story about his life, his feeling of life, his feeling of the blues. Well, so you couldn't write a hit for him because he wouldn't.
No hooks.
He didn't like repeating nothing. Yeah, I already said that. I'm not going to say that again. You know, and as everybody knows, if you're on a successful
Blues,
blues or pop music or whatever, you got to have a hook. You got to have a good line. You got to repeat it.
Yeah.
You know, so that was always a challenge. You know,
When they did your big city thing, and just the words and lyrics to that, the story that it tells.
Well, tell that story. Why are you a fan of the Big City song?
Well, I recorded the Big City song around here locally, and because of the content, it tells about the city's on fire, sun smoking down, and trouble going on around there. Baby's crying. He's feeling bad about the way things are, the trouble of the world, and much more that everything you hear. If you got a chance to listen to the song, Big City, it's Blue Street. What's
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
On Blue Street. Get a chance to listen to that.
How does that? How do you think of that song in terms of Cincinnati?
Well, in Cincinnati, it's same thing pretty much everywhere. When we had all the turmoil going on, that song was right on time with everything.
Which turmoil?
Okay, the
Are
uprising.
we talking about the early turmoil, late turmoil?
Any of
There's
it.
always been turmoil.
It's all the same. Yeah, but I'm talking about the latest. I ain't talking about, we're not going back to all the rest of it, but whenever we have it, it's pretty much the same thing. Police using the billy stick. Caretakers taking folks to the grave. Just different things of what he just explaining what's going on in the world because everything is running rampant. Why should it be that way? And I think that's just coming from his eyesight or something, and the way he saw things.
Well, I don't mean to be the interviewer or dominate this
But
interview.
you doing pretty good. You doing pretty good.
We need somebody to run this boat.
All three of you here are musicians. How do you think music affects the sentiment of big city now? Can you have an impact to make people understand what's going on in terms of the fire of Cincinnati, for example?
Yes, if you
or
can get it
Detroit
around to
or
where
wherever.
everybody can hear it. That is my thing with a lot of radio stations. A lot of them not really playing. Blues is like a area that's set off in the corner. They might give it an hour, half hour, 2 hours, one day a week or something like that. It's not like most other music where you can hear it and really get to know what's going on. It's just a lot of folks that's loving the blues try to find it, they seek it out. But other folks that don't know, which we try to educate on most of them, they really don't know exactly what it is until you can get it around them. They got to hear it and for them to know about it. Out of sight, out of mind. If they don't know, they won't grow.
What about you? How do you feel about
Well,
that? Like, can it have an impact politically to, I don't want to say like settle people down or make them understand what's going on in their world. How do you feel about your participation in that?
Well, first of all,
And one of them.
the blues is honest. And unfortunately, the blues it used to be about that big.
Yes.
Is that the
Now-
attraction
now
for
it's,
those?
now it's about that big. And everything else, the stuff you see on television,
Way,
is that big. So what the hell's going on?
Yeah. All we can do is
And
keep
we're
telling the story.
we're the cats that are telling the real stories, the real
If
truth.
somebody decides to listen, then they can kind of hear them.
It's back.
Cheryl, do you see that? I mean, you're a working musician. You're out there every day. Do you see that?
Well, not
Are
every
you-
day, but because
Well, not every day,
the way
but-
the blues is this.
But do you find that, like, with the young people today, like, do you find it a lost message, or do people get that, and did they understand what we're trying to do here? What
Well,
you're
some,
trying to
some
do.
do, some don't. You know what? We do this music, this type of music because we feel it. And necessarily, it's not being heard that much as it used to be because it's one of the premier American art forms actually, but it's not heard as much. But we do it because we love it, and as long as we keep doing it, the message will still get out.
Do you think it's the same message as hip hop? It's a different message
It
than
may
hip
be.
hop?
I don't listen to that much of hip hop. It might be.
What do you think about it? Like you deal with a lot of young musicians.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a lot of them here tonight. We saw the groove. I think it's great what they're doing, but do they understand what?
Well, generation to generation,
They all have their own
they all have their own way of doing what they do. That's why you see different style of music that come out of it. But when we go back to the roots of what we're trying to say, is getting them to understand the history, where they come from, so that they can know if they're saying something that they can relate to far back or from the grandparents or parents or whoever might have taught.